I recently came out with a treatise called In Defense of the Mind. The treatise is on the philosophy of mind as well as the philosophy of mental illness. I'm going to briefly talk about my arguments in the book and in my general philosophy against materialism. To start off, there are two basic types of materialism. There is eliminative materialism as well as reductive materialism. Eliminative materialism would basically say that everything that exists is material. So everything in the universe is material. There's no abstract realm. There's no ethereal realm. Everything that exists is material, and that is that. So there are no minds, there are only brains. A materialist that is eliminative would say that our minds are in fact our brains. Now, the reductive materialists would allow that thoughts and consciousness do exist, because this is one of the things that eliminative materialism doesn't really explain, is how do thoughts and consciousness and the like exist. But they would say that the thoughts, for instance, are still reduced to physical properties in the brain, and that would be that. So one of the problems I have, and that I argue against with regards to reductive materialism, is that reductive materialism, even if it's true, why is it and why would it be the way that we would want to look at something as powerful and unique as the mind? So the problem with reductive materialism is that it basically delegitimizes our inner life, it delegitimizes our psychological life, it delegitimizes what's going on in our mind. And it does this because it basically says that everything that happens in your mind is a physical process and is a physical property of some sort. And I think that that's very limiting. The problem that I have with eliminative materialism is the idea that essentially if we look at everything as a body, everything as an organism, everything as something that simply exists in the world and occupies space and is not abstract, for instance, the problem with this is that we seem to get carried away with this idea that we're not really responsible for our actions. Now, at first, this correlation might seem a little random, it might seem arbitrary even, but I think that on further reflection you'll realize that it's not really that arbitrary. Because if you say that everything is material, this discounts many important concepts that we use in day-to-day life and that have plenty of value, such as sentience, such as personality, personhood, value, and those things are unappreciated in this eliminative materialist model. Now, the final point that I want to hit on is that the problem with materialism is that it doesn't seem to take into account very, very important processes that happen in the mind. And those processes would be concepts such as self-awareness, self-consciousness, and the ability to self-process and to self-reflect. Now, this isn't necessarily a disproof of reductive materialism or eliminative materialism, but it is a refutation. It is a way of pointing out that it is a limit to how we perceive our reality. It is a limit to how we perceive our mind. And it is a limit because we're not taking into account, by thinking that everything is material, how powerful the ability to process what's happening in your mind actually is. And so again, I wanted to say that that's not necessarily a disproof, but it is definitely an important way of showing what the mind can do and why the mind is important and why these concepts are so important. Look out for my book, which is out, and I encourage you to read it if you want to get more in depth with these arguments. Again, this is Phoenix, and thanks.